How much do we talk about entrepreneurship at a young age for kids not to be scared of it? Because I mean, the career days that I've attended, even at my old school, I don't see anyone standing up and talking about the fact that you should be starting your own business or thinking about it. But you can also talk about particular careers and professions. I mean, I'm an accountant, but decided to go into business. And how do you leverage off some of the careers to take it further? So it's not to say that we are saying everybody must move into running businesses. So I would say if you are thinking about it, just make sure you've got the right support.
Sure.
You identifying where that support is a meaningful support, and look for a business that's doing something that's similar, and actually be willing to do stuff without getting paid first. I remember my first job, I think I was the only one who called our boss Dada. But I was actually envied by the end. I was the one who got the company car and driving all the people who were there forever around. But I think we just need to understand your character, values, you know, those open doors. And I think we just need to be a lot more humble with boundaries and also strive for excellence. I think that's what we need right now. And if small businesses are running things, guys, you know how we're like, oh, we said support black business and then next thing.
Yes.
That's what that would be my last cry as well, to say, when you are doing it, do it with excellence.
Hello, I am Dr. Maanda Tshifularo, and on this week's episode of the SuperLead Podcast series, we're joined by Linda Maqoma, who is the founder of Nomachawi Consulting, an advisory firm helping organizations to achieve clarity and sustainable growth. And in this conversation, we explore her remarkable journey and the work that she does to empower entrepreneurs, strengthen governance, and drive impactful change across the continent. Here it is, my conversation with Linda. Take a listen. Linda, welcome to SuperLead Podcast.
Thank you, Maanda.
Lovely. Love having you here. Even you can just feel the energy, right, when she's here, that it's a different level of energy. So thank you for coming.
My absolute pleasure.
Excellent. So we're going to talk about an interesting topic as we had a conversation. But before we get there, I want to just hear about Linda. Who's Linda? And on this podcast, we've got time, right? You just tell me who you are from as early as possible.
Apparently you have meetings. You don't have time. We have time.
That is also true. You know, it's Post's fault. She puts
back to back.
She gets me back to back. She doesn't want me to.
You're gonna be fine.
Okay.
Linda Maqoma, born and raised in Fort Beaufort, which has recently been renamed Maqoma.
Okay.
So I come from a royal lineage, and I think as we converse, you'll see how I've kind of gravitated back. But I'm an accountant by profession. Did my articles with the Big Four, jumped ship, corporate later on, and started my own consulting company, Nomachawi Consulting Group. Big on advocacy, having served president of ABASA.
Yes.
Currently vice president of the Black Business Council now. Sure. But currently tapping into the traditional leadership space.
Okay. So maybe before we go there, for those that might not know and might actually even just benefit from just hearing a headline, you know, what is ABASA and what are they meant to do, and sort of unpack these advocacy groups.
So ABASA is the Association for the Advancement of Black Accountants of Southern Africa. Has your past presidents like your Zakani Malulekas or
right.
Your Victor Sekesa, I think he was on the show.
Yes, he was here. Phenomenal.
Yes, and a couple of others. I think they're on the 17th president now.
Sure.
I was the 17th.
Okay.
They're on the 18th one.
Okay.
And I really bumped into ABASA in my time at the University of Fort Beaufort. So after leaving school, I got accepted at WITS for BCom accounting. And I then, in my second year, had to come back home because of financial constraints.
Sure.
But I also find that as a blessing because it opened up my eyes to the other side. So when you're at Wits, you go in there, you're this kid that performed well and everything is hunky-dory. You have your bursary from Deloitte. It's amazing stuff, you know.
Of course.
And then, you know, you hit a glitch and then you have to kind of find a way. So I went back and I'm like, I still want to do this thing. Studied and worked.
Okay.
So eventually
So studied and worked. So how did we solve the glitch?
So what I did was I've always been very self-aware of the levers you can pull to actually get. I've been very proactive all my life. I lost my mom in grade 11.
Sure.
So you end up, those are our pillars, right? And it's actually pushed me to be a little more proactive. No one's going to do anything for you. Nothing's going to fall on your lap. You need to get up and move, right? But also I had the privilege of experiencing like my mom and my gran running businesses on the farm. That's where my passion is around entrepreneurship, but also farming, right? But anyway, cut a long story short, so I have to come to Fort Beaufort. You then begin to see the challenges and the disparities between a university like Wits and university like University of Fort Beaufort.
Sure.
So along the way, I think it was break time. I don't know what do you call it, break time at university. I don't know what you call it.
Yes.
And I bump into this meeting that's happening in one of the lecture halls, and it's this ABASA, right? And I remember thinking, why is this meeting so disorganized? It's a student chapter like meeting. And I remember the one thing for me was never really about wanting to lead, but how do I help you fix it so that don't laugh.
Okay.
So the main thing was to help.
Good.
So I think I've always been that sort of person.
Excellent.
Like you want to fix.
So you're thinking this meeting is organized.
Like
how can I come in here and
I can
help
see
you?
that it's for a good cause,
Yes,
but
yes,
I
yes.
just feel like
It's just
everyone's all over the show. Like how do we? So that's what I did, and then eventually got into the leadership. I think I was the treasurer of the student chapter, and then I was on the advisory of the student chapter, and then I went and did my articles at KPMG in East London before this was around the Gupta time.
Yeah.
And then I was very active in terms of the trainee division of the organization, and then I moved to Johannesburg Financial Services, and then I met ABASA guys again in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was like, people were like, we don't have someone to lead women.
Yeah.
And that department was like dormant. So
Yeah.
we pushed,
Lovely.
supported the current leader at the time. And then we, put in some great initiatives and understanding really what this is about, that we're trying to turn around that the profession represents the demographics of our country.
Sure.
Ultimately, that's what it is.
Sure.
So I became president in 2020. That's a 3-year term. And since then, I've now worked within the business space with the Black Business Council, headed as the VP of Professionals.
Good. So what happens? What's the Black Business Council? What does it do? And like, if Mpo is here wanting to join the
Black Business
Council.
So BBC is the convening voice of all Black business and professionals.
Right.
So my affiliation with BBC was through ABASA initially, because ABASA will form part of a BBC.
I see.
From the professional side. So you'll have your BMFs, you'll have your APSIPs, all of those. That is supposed to be the convening voice for Black
BBC then becomes an umbrella.
Absolutely.
Right.
Ideally.
Okay.
So that is where I am. And then that's where I fit in, because I came from the professional constituency. And then I think they had a vice president that resigned, and they asked if I would consider coming in to assist. And it's been 2 terms in that role.
Right. So what's the BBC trying to achieve?
BBC is trying to achieve pretty much the same thing that an ABASA is trying to achieve, but it's more on it deals more at a high level. So your advocacy, policy, I think the one I was very active in was the public procurement bill. Making sure that you have the right voices in the room in Parliament. We get a team together and they kind of sit and look through these bills and we comment on them. Okay. But also maintaining the relationships and creating space, especially with your ministers, your deputy ministers, the presidency. We host an annual summit in June.
Yes.
So that's big for people that really want to be close proximity with the politicians. I don't know if people are very excited about that at the moment, but so I think
I'm sure there's someone excited about it.
I think also, with these, and maybe I'm taking it to another level in terms of, I've been in these organizations, but I think when we're part of these organizations, we must constantly reimagine how they evolve, right? Because what an ABASA was fighting for at the beginning in 1985 would be very different to now. Things have evolved. There's AI, there's different ways of work, there's all of these things. And the challenges then, they are layers. And unfortunately, a lot of the fundamental issues, we struggled to already resolve them. But things keep piling up. But the challenge is really to keep everyone engaged, because I think once we achieve what we want to achieve career-wise, we kind of feel like we've arrived, and then we forget to go back.
I see.
So I think those are just spaces to remind us of our responsibility, and that's what it's been for me.
Lovely. You've won a lot of awards.
Really?
Yeah, look at these.
Did you give me one?
And we have SuperLead awards coming up, so you might just get one.
Do you want to jinx it?
Yeah, of course. The Drum Top 50 Women and the Trailblazer in Leadership and all the many awards we can list. What I'm curious about first maybe is what led to starting your own consultancy, and what was happening in the world that called for your consultancy.
Okay. Firstly, I think I realized that I've got a particular calling or a purpose.
Beautiful.
And I think in the corporate space I was auditing financial services. Those are the big banks. And I was just like, this doesn't give me the time. There's something missing. And I didn't seem to have the time. And at that time, I was also a mom. So I was also balancing motherhood. So I needed flexibility. And I really felt like there was something that was pushing me out of this space. And I listened to that call. And I left not having a plan. I was just like, there was something in my mind that kept saying, what God has ordained, he will sustain.
Wow.
That kept ringing in my mind. And then I named it Nomachawi after my mom.
All right.
So she was also an accountant. And I think I just wanted to make sure that her spirit also is alive and her name, stays, recognized and continued. That was kind of that. So that it initially housed a lot of my passion projects. It allowed me to also do the work that I did with ABASA. But it's also now giving returns on that, because the more you do for others, you actually, now it's give to gain.
Oh, lovely.
That's the new theme for International Women's Month. Did you know this?
I didn't know this part.
See, you learn a lot.
Give to gain.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's something that taught me real balance. I think a lot of us are very passionate about a lot of things, but the journey has taught me that you need to balance the boundaries and all of that. You still want to advocate for a lot of things, but I think I'm evolving into a space where you teach people to stand up for themselves.
Sure.
I think a lot of us want to be leaders who are in the forefront, and you're empathetic and you want to stand up for other people's, issues and concerns. We need to teach people to be able to stand up for themselves.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
So when does someone pick up a call and call you?
You pick up a call and call me if you're running something. I think I'll make an example of some of my current projects. You need to get something done, but the implementation of it.
Yeah.
So project management.
Excellent.
Governance as well, because that's a big thing. A lot of calls I'm getting is around fundraising.
All right.
Managing fundraising for particular initiatives.
Okay.
And
managing or say more?
You coordinating and managing, because I think that there's a recognition of the relationships that I do have and the ability to get people to support something. But it's about helping people position. So you're not going to ask the Department of Eastern Cape Rural Development Agency, I'll make an example, for funding as a traditional council. Traditional councils deal with a lot of the communities. We need to remember that our governance, even in those spaces, needs to be intact. Right. So I've always been passionate about the grassroots, but what's missing there is systems and controls and all of that. These are the guys that service the people.
Yeah.
So in that, and still being very big on people on the ground, rural communities, we have to look at the vehicles that are meant to be delivering for them. So initially it was in the farming space, having grown up on a farm.
Oh, okay.
Yes, my grandparents moved to a citrus estate in 1995. Yeah. My grandfather was the Minister of Manpower.
Right.
In the Sky.
Okay.
So and him being the chief as well, it exposed me to a lot of the agricultural space, but the community responsibility as well. So my passion and the work that Nomachawi does is very linked to assisting in that regard. We focus a lot on the corporates. I do have the corporate link, but mostly from a board perspective. So it's nice to have someone like Linda on a board from a governance and compliance perspective. But my heart is very much in the grassroots.
Ground.
Yeah.
So just let's talk a little bit about fundraising.
Sure.
Because I meet a lot of people, great ideas, but execution limited or held back.
Yes.
By funding.
Yes.
It just a word or two. Where could people go? How much they think about this process?
Yeah.
And also even just shed a light. There might be funding available, but we just don't know.
Show up for things that are happening. I think it's a two-coin thing. The sad thing about it is there is money in South Africa.
Yeah,
People
there's like a lot. There's money here and then there's lack.
Right?
And then we need to bridge this gap.
You don't know
what's
happening. And I think a lot of things is also the leadership will and political will in a lot of things, because some of this funding that is supposed to be assisting your SMMEs and all of those people are supposed we have the issues we're dealing with now. Madlanga is like our entertainment for the country, but it is a real issue. Sure. And when you look at those things, a lot of it is around the procurement space, right? And how we are actually delivering on what we are proclaiming in your sonas and your budget speech and all of that. And people have lost confidence in that sort of thing. So the places you can get funding, it's very clear. But I think
just clarify it for Tlami.
So, I mean, if I was wanting from an infrastructure perspective, for instance, right?
SMEs, right? SMEs. The world over, yeah.
So, for instance, BBC will always partner with all of your banks, like all of our stakeholders, like your ABASAs, your NEFs, what's another, ESCOMs, all of these things, right? Not only from a funding perspective, but from an opportunity perspective. Okay. So you have to build people two ways. The capacity of doing what needs to be done in terms of the opportunity you get, and then there is the funding as well. Yeah. But from a funding perspective, a lot of things require capital.
Okay, yes, right? Yes.
And you must have some sort of equity that shows skin in the game.
Yeah.
Not a lot of us have that. And this is why I'm saying, in as much as you know that you can go like to a DBSA or NEF and all of that, we still have to be advocating and pushing that the DFIs remember that they are actually DFIs. Okay. And now we have the transformation fund that everybody is standing up for, and we have to stand on the ground and say, please make sure that it's not like going to a standard bank, right? Because we see that Black people are not getting access to this funding. We had COVID, and there was this fund, Standard Bank was administrating, and people were up in arms around the use of that fund. But the reality is that our people also need to have their ducks in a row.
Okay, what does that mean? So
compliance-wise, understanding what is required to actually access that funding, but balancing that the requirements are not so stringent on businesses that can't do some of these things.
I see.
So that's the tightrope we're trying to help people walk. So you're helping the person that needs the funding, but you're also trying to make sure that these structures that come up with these funds are not going to fall into the trap of what's causing the actual issue, right? So there's a responsibility from both sides, to be quite honest.
So someone is running a trucking company, logistics, and they want to increase their fleet.
Yeah.
What are the 4 steps they must follow to go get?
Do you know that the one thing that opens doors is these off-take agreements? Because sometimes if you're able to come and say, I've got this work, right? And it's going to be X amount, I just need this. They are like your ECDCs, Eastern Cape Development Corporations, your IDCs. There's another one that was mentioning, I think it was ECDC. But you can come to them and say, I've got the work. I see. I just need the equipment or whatever the case may be. And people need to think beyond the funding. You see how we're always talking funding?
Yes.
The funding is meant to purchase whatever it is that you need in the business.
Yes.
So also be open that you might not get actual money. You will get equipment. If you look at the government now, they're handing out tractors and they're handing out sewing machines and all of those things. And we just need to make sure that the businesses we say you want to run, we're actually going to run them. We're not setting up these businesses to then get money and then not do what we're supposed to do, because it also then makes it difficult for the next person.
Sure.
So I think as Black people, we need to understand the responsibility of actually getting,
receiving
this.
Yeah.
We need
And
to then make
steward
sure
it.
that we implement such that it keeps the door open for the next person.
Like that.
I mean, imagine if you had money and you were like, I'd like to support a couple of SMMEs, and they actually squander the money.
Sure.
Your heart
Then
is not
next year,
necessarily
that's
going
it.
to
Yeah.
be in that anymore. So it's that level of awareness that you're driving on both ends. You're supporting and you're advocating for people, but you also need to remind them of the responsibility.
Excellent.
And if they are open to being assisted in terms of compliance, I mean, as an accountant, I think what I advise to small businesses, as much as it seems a bit much, having an accountant and having a lawyer is probably a good thing, even at a personal level, right? Because you're dealing with the compliance. Everything is sitting at the requirements of a particular funding. But also, guys, relationships. You can't avoid that. Some people will be like, but why must I know someone in order to get something?
Yes.
We need to be out there. If you go into a room and there's an event or whatever the case may be, go up to people and make sure that you have the elevator pitch. If you're talking about what you're talking about, like whatever you're passionate about, make sure you're pitching it such a way that this person will remember you, even when they get the number, because people give numbers, but but
you know those events sometimes they just feel like a bit of a waste of time.
They do.
You just linger around and there's some speeches and then there's some.
So even with the events sort of space that I've been in, I think people sometimes will have events for the sake of having events, but you need to understand what you want people to walk away with and curate it and design it such that it gives people that and it's worth their time. But not everybody does that, unfortunately. But I think the best conversations are probably after the show. And how do you create that people can be mingling around, if it's a couple of drinks and all of that stuff? Those are the spaces that I think if people are proactive, focus on those. You look at your big events, like we always talk about mining indaba, for instance, right?
Yes.
I don't think I've ever been to a mining indaba in Cape Town and gone to the actual indaba. But the surrounding events, the networking events, are the ones that I feel are more value for my time.
I see.
Than sitting and listening to
the
some of the speeches.
I see.
So you need people to understand that as well. Taking a picture, you were wherever, it's about the conversations you're actually having, and are you prepared in terms of what you're pitching so that people also take you seriously.
Oh, lovely. Oh, wow. So we're going to get into this conversation around leadership. And you advise leaders, individuals, etc. And what I'm curious about is, especially given now, it feels like everything is in a state of flux, geopolitics and all that we see. How might you advise an individual who feels somewhat overwhelmed? They might feel like, the internal capacity maybe is no longer matching the demands from the outside. Let's start individuals sort of, and then we do SMEs, and then maybe even corporates.
Best advice I'd give people, personal level and corporate-wise, if you're feeling overwhelmed, take a look at what you're actually doing. Are you still in your core business? Are you still aligned to whatever purpose, whether it's personal, whether it's business-wise? Because I think sometimes, especially with the state of where things, guys, and in that state, you end up taking things that actually are not linked to why you actually began this whole thing. And you want quick wins, and in the process, you're taking on too many things.
I see.
So I would advise someone to go back to basics, go back to your core. And I think the big thing around any organization I walk into, I ask them, where's your strategy document? Where is it? Show me. Show me what your problem statement is, what it was when you started this. What are the strategic pillars that give you the roadmap to achieving the goal of this particular organization? Because the important thing is that whatever you decide to start doing, I learned this from a mentor of mine. You may have great ideas, but always try and trace it back. You must be able to trace it back to your core strategy.
Oh, wow.
If you can't do that, don't do it.
Even if it's a cool new app.
It's a cool new app, but you can't tell me you're overwhelmed if you're going to launch it.
If you're going to launch,
remember,
if you're going to be, okay, I'm
answering your question now.
I'm with you.
To say, if you're overwhelmed, but you're still telling me you're taking on things that aren't part of your core, mandate, you need to kind of come back to the center. Some things can be drastic. I think for me, I'm a very faith-based person.
Good.
Very spiritually inclined.
Lovely.
And I'm not scared to kind of pull back. I'm not scared to start over. I'm not scared to go back to basics. I mean, I've been in Joburg since 2017. Yeah. And I've, built my career, but I wasn't scared to go back to the Eastern Cape.
Sure.
Because I identified that, firstly, I need an element of peace. I need to go back to understanding, remembering, because I do know who I am, but what are the strengths? What got me this far,
Sure.
And at my core, what am I good at? What am I really passionate about? Sure. And you know how I just said about people and the grassroots, that's at my core. But Joburg was necessary, career-wise. I mean, everyone comes to the hub.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw our premier was saying all the professionals must come back now, We'll see if they actually all take us back. Yeah. But there are opportunities there. And I think sometimes when you slow down, it's fast-paced here. Sure. Keeping up with I don't know if you call them Jones, the Kamalos in Joburg can be overwhelming. But sometimes you just need to slow it down.
I see. So if it's in my case, I just go back to vendor.
You can go back to vendor. And I think you must ask yourself, what do I leave who do I leave the business with? I think that's what you would.
Sammy.
Right? You see how you have an answer. And if you can do that and you've built people, I think that's strong leadership. That if you do feel like you need to take a break, you've built the structure in such a way that you can take a break. We can't be all things to everyone, guys. In business as well, we ideally want to build our businesses that they can run themselves. Yeah. And you do have that flexibility. So I've always fought for flexibility. Okay. I want to go watch my kid play sports. Even though she's in boarding school, gives me a lot more room. Sure. And I've had to reorganize my life. But I'm very clear about the fact that this is my priority. Yeah. And I don't want to wake up a couple of years down the line and I've got everything, but I don't have my child. Yeah. And I mean, we read what some of Mandela's kids, for instance, will say about their dad. Committed his life to the struggle and all of that, but these kids didn't grow up with a dad. Sure. And there's a resentment that comes with that. Sure. So in leadership, you learn that you are also, there's a generation that's watching, and you just need to be mindful of the fact that you also have that responsibility, and kids that are going to probably end up one day saying, you spent all of your time doing that, but I needed this from you. So, yeah.
And what was the trigger for you to say, okay, I'm going to go to Eastern Cape?
So I've always wanted to. And then I think what kept me was ABASA presidency when it started in 2020. Basically, I can run my business from anywhere. I can travel anywhere. I just need to choose a base. Okay. And then I really wanted to do the farming. It was a big thing for me. And at the time, my dad was still alive. And I felt like I wanted to come home to also help him and also, get a lot of his knowledge because he was in the farming space. And I lost him in 2023. Sure. So I still feel a sense of, I use Nomachawi consulting for my mom's legacy, but now my dad's legacy as well is also very important, But also from raising my daughter, we were in Joburg, but I feel like there are schools, really good schools in the Eastern Cape, and also a sense of structure for my daughter as well. I'm a single mom. I'm all over the show. Boarding school was good, and I was like, I can't think of another boarding school but the one. So she's at my old school. Right?
I see.
So rather the devil I know.
Of course.
And she's happy. She's like, Mom, this is the best decision you've made. I'm like, sure, okay. So that kind of was my trigger, but it was a long time coming. And I do see the opportunities to make a difference in the Eastern Cape. I think with provinces like that have a lot of challenges, they also present a lot of opportunity for us to come back and make a difference.
Sure. Yeah. Listening to you, it sounds like if you want to do something, you just go do it. And I talk to a lot of people that are like, I want to get into farming.
Yeah.
And then you talk to them 7 years later, they're still telling you they want to get
into farming.
Yeah. And what is that?
I can't speak for other people.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what happened when I went home and I spoke to my uncle and I was like, dude, I want to farm. And I bought a Bucky and everything. Ooh. And so I was ready. So you can't say I'm not ready.
Yeah. I've got a Bucky.
Yeah. So,
criteria number one, Bucky.
I will never forget what my uncle said because he's running the citrus estate currently, right? Okay. After my grandparents. And he said, Chana, start at home,
Wow.
And the more I've stayed, and because I was like, dude, there are too many of you guys, you've got your siblings and all of that. So he's my mom's brother.
Brother, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to be in the mix of all of this, right? He's like, start at home.
Okay.
And I think there's an importance in this particular thing for me is that he's basically my dad now, right? And he gave me the most valuable advice. I had a vision. I know what I want. But he's basically saying farming is not glamorous, right?
Sure.
We all know, we should know this. But people,
but in the pictures,
in
it looks
pictures,
nice. And,
you're not going to rock up with this farm with the lawn all green and whatever. You need to be, and the ones that are low hanging are likely the ones that are not in like the Lani land, like close to the road. You have to drive about 30 Ks to dirt road. And you must be willing to do that. And that's where all the white people live.
I see.
I see. And those are the communities that actually you can learn a lot from. I watch my uncle when where he does things, working a lot of white farmers as well. I know growing up with my dad, very close to white farmers as well. There's a lot we can learn from them, and I guess he wants to make sure that whatever it is that you want to do, I want to be there for you. I want to help you along the journey. And we're young, we're black, we're women. And I think I appreciate that. And possibly, it's not what everybody would get. Someone to actually say that, and a platform where you can go home and get that support so that you can then do your own thing. So as I went along, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see why it's important for me to be here, because never mind that I'm helping from a family legacy perspective, but it is grooming me for what I actually want to do.
I see.
Yeah.
Right, start at home.
Yeah.
I think that hits different. Start at home, because you have a big vision and you wanna go start.
And he's like probably thinking, I'm not going to go catch you and you fall from there. Start
here and then I can just
then I can kind of assist.
I see.
And I guess this is what mentorship is all about from a leadership space as well. You need to have people around you that have walked the journey, that are going to advise, but at the same time you need to build a muscle of discernment for yourself. Not all advice is good advice, but you need to trust that the people that have walked the journey, they say, you don't leave home. Okay, no, I was going to want to sound profound, but I forgot the quote. But basically, you won't follow someone who actually hasn't left the journey.
Hasn't left home. Yeah, I think I've had something like something like that. Even I can. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
If someone's just sitting at home.
Yeah.
So entrepreneurs, businesses, in this environment, it's complex. Just too many moving parts. As we move towards conclusion, how much you sort of encourage or advise these people that are doing their most?
If you're running a business, I salute you. It is not easy. It's not for the faint-hearted, but you are needed, because if you look at the state of unemployment in our country and matching to the jobs that are needed, there are people that are going to have to, go the other route. I think we also need to look at what our curriculums are teaching. I was just speaking to one of my business partners around the fact that we need to start looking at how we can help basic education, start a narrative that assists with the current state of affairs in the country. We can't be grooming kids into things that the country doesn't need.
Sure.
We've been having the conversation for a long time. We're going to talk about something as obvious as a 30% pass rate for stuff. It's okay to pass 30% maths. We need to fix those things, and that's a curriculum issue. How much do we talk about entrepreneurship at a young age for kids not to be scared of it? Because, the career days that I've attended, even at my old school, I don't see anyone standing up and talking about the fact that you should be starting your own business or thinking about it. But you can also talk about particular careers and professions. I'm an accountant, but decided to go into business. And how do you leverage off some of the careers to take it further? So it's not to say that we are saying everybody must move into running businesses. So I would say if you are thinking about it, just make sure you've got the right support.
Sure.
You identifying where that support is, a meaningful support, and look for a business that's doing something that's similar, and actually be willing to do stuff without getting paid first. I think that's our struggle. We chase money so much, and I know we need it, but a lot of some of the opportunities in my life have come from doing things out of service.
Oh, wow.
And people see that. Obama was talking about that thing around just get stuff done.
Yes.
if you get the small things done, someone is going to identify that this person actually can be trusted with a lot of stuff. And this is how some of the board seats that I've gotten off from that.
Okay.
Me showing up
lovely.
with excellence and respect has always been a big thing for me. When you show, I remember my first job, I think I was the only one who called our boss Dada. But I was actually envied by the end. I was the one who got the company car and driving. All the people were there forever around. But I think we just need to understand your character, values, those open doors. And I think we just need to be a lot more humble with boundaries and also strive for excellence.
Excellent.
I think that's what we need right now. And if small businesses are running things, guys, Sanus Danisa, you know how we're like, we said support black business and then next thing.
Yes.
That's what that would be my last cry as well, to say, when you are doing it, do it with excellence so that we can also open doors.
Oh, lovely. Man, if you can talk to someone who is employed, nice car, wonderful family, 2-3 kids in private school, but they feel this urge to want to go build the business, what might you say?
Well, if you've got the nuclear family, I'm hoping that one of you has a stable job.
Okay.
Because I think that's another nice perk of having that, family support and a partner. And the one will then say, okay, I'll stick with this. But the main thing is to make even that partner understand that with risk comes reward.
Sure.
Greater the risk, greater the reward.
Sure.
That's what Economics 101, right?
Yeah.
And if you do have that supportive partner that can understand that it might be hard, but let's go through it. But that person has to also walk the journey. And also don't be dumb. Like, don't make sure that what you're wanting to go do, starting this business, has a market.
I see.
If you're solving for something, it's always so much easier to get the funding and the support because it's low hanging, right? We're always very fixed on these big dreams and all of these things. Yes, we can be innovators, but also if you're starting out, also just try diversify with something that is low hanging. There is a market, therefore there is more chance of support and funding for it. That's the advice I'd give.
Lovely. With a minute or two to go, we ask all our guests to give our listeners a challenge.
Okay.
Just one challenge to say, hey, maybe you can start doing this or see things this way. That's one. Two is for you to recommend a book for me to fill up my bookshelves, and also that our listeners can learn a thing or two from it.
Challenge to the viewers, go back to where you grew up and lift someone up.
That's good.
Each one, lift one. I think our world would be a better place if we went back. A book. There's so many books I'm currently reading. One that you don't have is, have you read Sibongile Vilakazi's book?
No.
Put Her in Her Place.
Put her in her place.
Yes.
Okay, say more.
You might need to invite her to the podcast as well. And then
Help
she can
us.
bring the book. Oh, I'll give her a call after.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Tell her there's an open slot in 2 hours' time.
They already put someone in there. Okay, I'll let him know. Yeah, so that's what I'd look at. It really was around the challenge that women actually have in corporate. But I think it's a hashtag that was going around, make sure you put her in her right place.
Oh, I see.
I enjoyed that book.
I see.
And it takes a journey around her personal experience, with litigation and all of those things, and seeing some of the gender, discrimination, if I can put it that way, in that space. But yeah.
Tlami Mpo, next, in about an hour's time, we've got another interview. Yeah. Oh, Linda, thank you so much. We covered so much of ground, and thank you for your interview and the insights.
Pleasure.
Thanks for the work that you do. May it grow and continue to make impact.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Lovely.
Cool.
That was Linda, everybody, right here in studio at Danefen, South Africa.
Yes.
Yes.